Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 24 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Ferrari and both Haas rolling into today's episode from Miami with special liveries. While Ferrari's more of an HP livery, Haas is a Miami inspired look coming into one of their home Grand Prix weekends. We focus in on ourselves and we had a really rough Chinese Grand Prix weekend, and we actually got a second secret meeting coming into only the fifth race of the season, and it was actually with Aston Martin. A representative from their team came over and I actually shut down talks. I don't like the direction that Aston Martin is headed in. I feel like they're going in the total wrong direction, so I really don't feel like it would make sense. Now, this is like the next step up from a Williams car in the Mercedes pipeline, but I think we're making the right move there. So that's the second time now I've shut down some talks with a team. I do think we can do better, but that might not be the only team conversation we have this weekend. We're coming into Miami off of news last episode. Joseph Newgarden, IndyCar star, Indy 500 winner, he called out the sport and the drivers, saying that F1 drivers aren't really capable of going over into, say, the Indy 500 and performing. And of course, there's always a big debate about those kinds of things in motorsports. A really silly debate, because in reality, there's F1 drivers that could do good in IndyCar. There's IndyCar drivers that could do good in F1. There's NASCAR drivers that could do good in IndyCar, F1, and vice versa as we get ready to come in this weekend. We had some upgrades coming in, but we as well had one upgrade fail. But this is what the R&D looks like coming into our second consecutive sprint weekend. F1 announced coming into this weekend as well that for sprint race weekends for the rest of the season, we will be using short qualifying. So this weekend, we will see a short qualifying session for the sprint and the Grand Prix qualifying. But when we go to just a normal Grand Prix weekend, we will have the fully fledged qualifying. But for sprint weekends from now on, it will be short qualifying, as it's just so long when you're trying to do an episode now as we roll through into Miami for our first United States Grand Prix. Looking just for overall a bounce back from China. It was such a rough episode. Now, I have been watching other creators series and I didn't have the most confidence coming into this one. It certainly seems like this game right now has some issues in Miami with the AI and the battery, and they can just seem to harvest it way better than what the player can. So I'm a bit concerned we're gonna have a bit of a lengthy day here in Miami, or a lengthy couple days I should say. But free practice one, it was going okay. I was actually quite happy with the handling of the car. The straight line speed wasn't quite there. Not necessarily because the car was slow. It was actually more of a setup preference here, and it just, I kind of gave up a bit of straight line speed for more comfort. I find myself in this game seeking comfort a lot more behind the wheel, and I found that, and I was quite happy with where we were at the end of free practice one. But between free practice one and sprint qualifying, we actually had a brief meeting with Joseph Newgarden.
Look, man, we're tired of this F1 IndyCar debate. If you guys are so confident in your abilities, I will get you a ride at Penske to do an Indy 500. I
mean, let's do it. I don't think you realize how talented we are in different disciplines.
Okay, bring it on then. I'll get you in touch.
So there we have that conversation with Newgarden, and into sprint qualifying, we had more news.
Some news out of the paddock this afternoon as we get set for sprint qualifying and its new format. Trackhouse Racing owner Justin Marks is here at the track talking to drivers and other members of the sport.
Trackhouse Racing, known for their NASCAR Cup Series team as well as MotoGP team. Well, they are here this weekend, and they actually have requested, Justin Marks has, an opportunity to speak with me at some point this weekend here. Now, as we'll likely do that after the sprint. Here we are in short qualifying, and you get one set of softs, you get two sets of mediums, so in reality it's kind of like a one and done type deal. You just do what you can across the span of one lap and hope for the best here. Now, as it's hard to really get a baseline of where we're going to be this weekend in terms of speed, so I hadn't quite had necessarily an idea or a goal set in place. Now, Miami, it's quite prominent with straight line speed, which is where this Williams has kind of been prevailing at points this season. But we come through to the end of our lap, just a few minutes left in the session. Everyone had already made one lap. They're coming out for their second now, but one lap only for us, and to the line P14 is all it is going to be, and I didn't really feel like I had much more than that. Alex Albon goes P10, as you see the rest of the qualifying order. Gasly all the way at the bottom there. So we'll roll into the sprint. Norris as well, P12, as we head straight on to the grid, ready for some sprint racing. George Russell there in P7 on the grid now, as we have only had one sprint this season. That was last episode in China, and we saw Lewis Hamilton pick up the victory, and then of course we saw Carlos Sainz get the actual Grand Prix victory. Red Bull finally dethroned in the last episode. Can we see maybe 2 sprint weekends back to back, see the same effect where Verstappen maybe doesn't come out on top in the both races again? We'll have to wait and see now as we are ready to go racing. It's been a heck of a season so far in terms of dominance on the Red Bull side of things now, and although we have seen Red Bull win every race but one, Ferrari are right there with them when it comes to the constructors battle. So it's going to be interesting to watch that play out, as Perez, although he does have a win, has been kind of lacking some pace overall, and consistency I would say is a big thing now as we get ready to roll here from the grid. Medium compound tire, that's all we're going to be doing here from the start to the end of this sprint. We'll get ready to take off here and kick off the formation lap for the first sprint of the weekend.
Here we go then, the formation lap is underway ahead of today's sprint.
I don't know why I said first sprint of the weekend, there's only one. Yuki Tsunoda, the only driver going on to the soft compound tire. Everybody else deciding to go on to the mediums there to see the pair of Ferraris in their special livery for this weekend.
As all the cars take their positions on the grid, the final preparations have been made, and all that's left is for the drivers to deliver on track.
Right guys, not the best qualifying efforts, and hopefully find a way to bounce back after last weekend.
Just be patient, mate. Let this come to you.
So then, ready to go to the grid. You notice the Sebastian Vettel 5 on the steering wheel there. It's actually got his 5 with the German flag stripes across the top. Shout out to Sanok. He's been a big role on my NASCAR channel, actually, and the modding over there. And he's actually the one that was able to get my Twitter handle on the Halo and the Sebastian Vettel branding there on the steering wheel to pay homage to, of course, our big influence in this career mode. 10 laps of sprint racing on the way. Here we go behind Lando Norris. Lights out, we're racing, and it's a bit of a slow start there from myself. Not great off the grid. Norris as well, a bit slow. Bottas in the kick Sauber as we nearly run into the back of him. He had a good start now as I'm side by side with Hulkenberg there. Mr. Nico Hulkenberg in those special Haas colors this weekend for the Miami Grand Prix. Max Verstappen's gotten away right off the bat. The 2 Ferraris, Leclerc, Sainz, wheel to wheel. Sainz potentially fighting for his career. We don't know exactly how the driver shakeups are going to work here in the game. So will Lewis Hamilton actually go into Ferrari for Season 2? We are really not sure 100% about that yet. I'm hoping, honestly, there's a mod cheat table that we've always had in previous games that we can bring into this game so we can make sure those kinds of things happen. As you can now see, Hulkenberg with that straight line speed lunges at me but backs out of it. We settle in behind Valtteri Bottas now as, hold on, Hulkenberg shows the nose up the inside. The German squeezes one there, catches me a bit off guard, but we're safe now as we all just kind of ride slowly through the chicane here now. One of my actually favorite parts of sections on the whole calendar is right through here and that underpass and whatnot. Now the track overall certainly probably in my bottom 5 or 6 favorite tracks, but really do enjoy that one specific section. It goes right up into my top 5 of favorite spots in the calendar now, as we've kind of settled in here behind Valtteri Bottas now, and immediately I was starting to feel the same struggle that I had seen other creators struggling with, and that was the battery and the straight line speed compared to the AI here in Miami. So I'm a little bit concerned that we qualified 14th, we're currently running 14th, we might be staying pretty stationary in 14th, while our teammate of Alex Albon, who really stepped up his game last episode, was able to beat us there in China. Not by as much as he probably should have, but he is doing a really good job here. P9 fighting for a potential point on Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz, the winner from the Chinese Grand Prix, to the frontier in the sprint. He takes over from Max Verstappen. Verstappen had a great start but couldn't quite escape the DRS, and I was unfortunately well out of the DRS now of Valtteri Bottas, and Nico Hulkenberg slides one up the inside. He'll take P14. Things are not looking pretty for us so far here. Now he's actually clipped the right side wall right there, but P15, Tsunoda 16th, Ocon 17th, of course IRL not returning to Alpine next season. This is all I got, dude. I swear, I got nothing more.
Okay, just hang with Hulkenberg here.
So that's the objective now, is just try to stay within basically DRS of Nico Hulkenberg to make sure we don't go under attack from the Japanese driver of Yuki Tsunoda, the Frenchman, still just behind him. You got that long DRS train up in front, and they continue to scrap it out. Verstappen now on lap 5, halfway through the sprint, going around the outside, and he'll get the job done. In the background, Zhou Guanyu in the Sauber kick has made a pass on Oscar Piastri as well, and these battles up front continue though. Leclerc, Sainz, they're both going to attack Verstappen 3 wide here at the end of the long DRS straight. Verstappen goes from first to third, and Leclerc up the inside of his teammate. Now they were side by side on lap 1. Now they're side by side for the lead on lap 6 of this Grand Prix. Sainz, for now, will stay ahead, but we know that with the way the DRS train is currently working until they fix it, leading is like a death sentence if second place has DRS on you, and hopefully that will be fixed soon enough. They are well aware of it, I have been told. And yeah, hopefully with the new handling patch, that's going to be something that comes along with it, since they do have to completely rework the AI with that handling patch, so it would just kind of make sense to kind of put those two together. Now slipping and sliding here. I forgot to show it, but Carlos Sainz had actually lost the lead to Leclerc, and he had also lost second place. So Verstappen had gone through to second, Leclerc to the point, but Verstappen goes around the outside, and he's actually going to take the lead from Leclerc. There's a lot of passing for the lead, but I feel like with the way the game works, it's really not worth showing all the time, because it's just a back and forth situation every single time here now. And Leclerc with 2 to go goes around the outside of Verstappen. That might be it for the win, actually. Now Leclerc out in front now, looking for any sort of victory this season. This could be the first one now, as Verstappen might go winless in the first 2 sprints of the season now, as we're all over the back of Hulkenberg, but we have all run down this train basically of like 5th or 6th place, literally through to 20th, and it's quite frustrating to be involved in now, as you want to see a more natural dynamic with the AI and what you saw in really every single past F1 game in history compared to this point now. It is baffling how much EA, or not EA, they just published the game, Codemasters, it's baffling to see how much they really did screw up coming into the release of this game. But there's so much promise here and potential. That's why I'm really looking forward to the upcoming patches now, because I can see the promise of this game quite easily now, as we have a run on Nico Hulkenberg on this final lap, but we've run ourselves out of battery down the straightaway, so he's going to hang on. Charles Leclerc comes through to win the sprint, his first type of win of any sorts now. As you can see, Verstappen and Sainz will be P2, P3. How about Albon gets a point? Piastri fell down the order. P8 for Albon, 1 point to his name. It's going to be P15 in a disappointing effort for us here. Not at all what we were looking for, and we continue our struggles following the Chinese Grand Prix. We have a lot of work to do going into normal qualifying and as well the actual Grand Prix in itself. We'll take a look here at the finishing order now, as it's Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Alonso, Perez, the top 5, Hamilton, Zhou, and Albon in P8. Piastri beats his McLaren teammate, but no points for either of them, of course, with 9th or worse. Now, before we qualify, we had a meeting with Trackhouse Racing owner Justin Marks.
Hey Gary, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Listen, we at Trackhouse Racing are exploring an open spot to enter F1 next year. What is your availability?
I mean, I'm open to anything. But you're going to have to present something quite interesting to me to go elsewhere.
What key things are you looking for?
A long-term deal, a competitive team, as well opportunities to explore other racing opportunities. I think we can do a lot outside of F1, and I think someone should be able to prove that.
Okay, let's keep in touch.
So then, you heard the conversation with Justin Marks, and we'll expand on that now. That's kind of the first conversation I was willing to expand upon instead of just kind of shutting it down. We don't know what their plan is. Is it an 11th team? Are they going to buy out a team? We don't really know yet, but we're going to find out more as time goes on. Now, in short qualifying for the actual Grand Prix itself, to focus back in on the actual racing, we qualified 14th for the sprint. how are we going to qualify for the Grand Prix? You see me locking up a little bit, but like I said, with the short qualifying format, you get one set of softs only to work with, so it's kind of a one and done. And we're going to come through this chicane, go through the double underpass now, and set up for this final long straightaway towards that final heavy braking zone, which we get down to and get right alongside the curbing there without actually using it now as we head down this front stretch, the curved little straightaway now to the line, and once again, it's P14.
Okay, that's 14th place.
I don't get it, man. Sorry, guys. That's all I had again. And that is where we're going to end up. P14, while our teammate of Albon shatters our lap and goes P7, and he's good by 0.6 of a second over myself. Hulkenberg lines up the back of the grid, but something's not clicking here on these sprint weekends. China didn't quite click, and it's not clicking here in Miami, and we're starting to go through some rookie struggles.
We're here in the coastal shores of Florida for the Miami Grand Prix, which has become the 11th Formula One track held in the United States. The grandstands are packed for what we hope is going to be another fantastic race, with great opportunities for wheel-to-wheel battles featuring 19 corners, 3.36 miles long, and expected average speeds of 138 miles an hour. The Miami International Autodrome will be sure to create lots of chances to overtake. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, Albon, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Joe, Norris, Stroll, Bottas, Golden Boy, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Gasly, Hulkenberg, and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me here today in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. Now, Ant, you know us. Professionals as we are, we don't listen to rumours all the time, just some of the time. And in the case of this driver, I think we were right to listen to those rumours because they were true.
Seems like the rumours are true, Crofty. Now, the good thing is for the driver that if you've potentially signed or had chats with a team that are going to further your career, that's all well and good. But the problem it immediately creates within your own team now is that potentially the teams stop giving you inside information, and therefore you're not privy to that knowledge of where the car's going in terms of its future development.
What can we do here is, as well, you heard them talking a little bit about silly season. Medium compound start going on to the hards for this Miami Grand Prix. The first of 3 visits to the United States this season. Let's get ready to roll.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
Max Verstappen at the head of the field over Sainz. Perez, Leclerc, your sprint winner in 4th, with the pair of Mercedes 5th and 6th.
We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Okay, mate, it's not been a great weekend, but like James said last week, we will go through these rookie challenges. Do what you can today.
And there you hear Mark to ourselves now as we are ready to take off for this Miami Grand Prix. So in the sprint, we started 14th. Unfortunately, things didn't work out there. We went backwards, so hopefully we don't go backwards here today now as we line up 14th again as the Alpine and the Haas pull up to the back of the grid, and now officially ready to go racing. Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, Lando Norris, Zhou Guanyu, they're all in front of us now from 13th through 10th. We're racing here from Miami as it's lights out. Max Verstappen leads the way down into turn 1. We lunge one up the inside of fellow Canadian Stroll, and it's a great start up alongside Lando Norris as well, as they're 3 wide briefly in front of us. Piastri backs out. Norris as well slowed up. We slide in front of him. We'll move into the points now. Verstappen leads the way. How about the Mercedes there up in 3rd? Alex Albon, a great start as well. He's up there in the mix. Don't rule him out with that straight line speed from Williams. He's kind of been a new animal ever since we kind of roughed him up a little bit and kind of shoved him a little bit off track in Japan on that final lap. He came out to the Chinese Grand Prix and really showed me up there, and now he's showing me up again this week, and he absolutely dominated my pace in the sprint, and he's dominated me here in the qualifyings, and it's looking like he's going to do so again here in the Grand Prix. So not great for myself, but again, we are a rookie, we're learning, we've got time, we've got a whole season ahead of us here still. It's still very early in the season. We still got, what, 20 rounds to go, so plenty of time for things to shake out, and hopefully we kind of figure things out by the end of the season now, as we just kind of settle in here behind Oscar Piastri. A bit of a struggle this season for Piastri behind the wheel of that McLaren car. It's not been pretty so far, but right now he's out in front of Lando Norris, his McLaren teammate, who of course has kind of been the opposite, a lot stronger now. The McLaren has really been struggling this season when it comes to straight line speed. We have seen that car just get dominated in a straight line all season. You think back to the Japanese Grand Prix, our Williams car of course was in a fight with Lando Norris, and Albon would breeze past Lando Norris every straightaway, where vice versa, Lando Norris really struggled to do the same thing to Albon here. But speaking of speed, hold on, here comes Lando Norris now to my right side down this long straightaway. I was trying to stay out of his way. I realized how much more pace he had than me at this point in time, and here he goes. I'm already trying to save some batteries, so you see my ERS deploy in none, and I found myself having to really save battery here this weekend in Miami, and it still didn't quite feel like it was enough, even when I was doing everything I could to save it. So that was certainly quite frustrating here, and you can see Norris is actually running down Piastri. I think Piastri is about to be under fire from his teammate here momentarily. The Australian running P9 might be down to P10 quite soon. Zhou Guanyu, who had some points in the sprint, just behind myself in P12, as you see me sliding around a little bit there using the curbs, not what you want to be doing. Lance Stroll just behind him in P13 now, as we have kind of settled in now, and there's once again a huge train from second on back. Max Verstappen has driven away, while second on back they've just engaged in battles. So and you can see the effect it has. We're all just in a line here now, and it's the frustrating part about this is when you're in this line, it's nearly impossible to make a move on the cars in front of you. It's even hard for the player because they save their battery and then they get in the DRS and they crank their battery, and it's just hard to do anything now here, as I'm actually under pressure from Zhou Guanyu into the braking zone. Lap 7, we stay ahead of the Chinese driver coming off of his home Grand Prix, and one heck of a home Grand Prix it was for him, passing Fernando Alonso in a photo finish right at the end of that Grand Prix to get an extra point. But I had actually lost contact with Norris, and you can see I'm trying to save the battery. It's not working. Zhou Guanyu around my outside. We stay ahead for now, but he's going to get us through this kind of the stadium grandstand section now as we continue wheel to wheel, but we bank out of it. Don't want to be side by side into the chicane, and I'm realizing at this point, I mean, saving my battery is going to be so crucial, so I let Zhou go just so I can have the DRS behind him, which will give me more opportunity to save battery. And battles for second continue here. Russell and Sainz. This is why we have such a train, because this is what keeps happening. They get side by side, they can't pass each other, one gets ahead and then they fight back and they get side by side again, they stack up everybody. Max Verstappen is 7 seconds ahead of the whole field. Leclerc lunges one up the inside of George Russell. They continue wheel to wheel through the S's and they slip through. Does the Ferrari. Second and third for Ferrari. Russell drops down to 4th place, and now I'm under attack from Lance Stroll. So even when I'm trying to push, that Aston Martin's able to come through and put a fight to us. Now we go wheel to wheel into that stadium section now, and once again in that spot where we really don't want to be, and slipping and sliding there allows Stroll to get clear. So down to the 13th position we go. After a great start, we're starting to just fumble down the order again here, just like the sprint. Carlos Sainz coming into the pits now, and that's going to be off the mediums onto another set of mediums. So Sainz, the Spaniard, going for a two-stop strategy. We have seen this not work. You think back to Max Verstappen in Australia dominating the race. Well, decides to do a two-stop strategy, pays the price, doesn't even score a point. So I don't quite know about a call like that from Max Verstappen now, as he is long gone down the road from everybody right now. He is going to win this race unless something goes wrong, which we just know currently is not going to happen until a patch comes out. We're just settled in here behind Lance Stroll, Zhou Guanyu 11th and 10th, and honestly, I'm just glad we're in still the running, although I feel like I'm struggling a lot. We're still in the running for points today, but you can see that I would just get absolutely dominated and they would drive away again, and Bottas would be able to now run me down, and we have been passed in this section of racetrack many times, but this time we stay ahead of Valtteri. Lance Stroll as well gets the job done, and Zhou backs out of it, so Stroll into the points, Zhou down to P11, putting both Saubers out of the points. But look at this, look at the Sauber breeze past the Aston Martin in the straightaway with the DRS. Now it's kind of looking like the Williams on the McLaren. It seems like that Sauber has more straight line speed than the Aston Martin, but now I'm coming into the pits here actually a lap early, so our pit window opens next lap. I wanted to pit this lap because I was continuing to slip and slide and struggle there, so wanting to come in, get these mediums off and put that set of hards on and see, you know, exactly what we can do. I actually have a bit of a late turn in there. I just completely hit the wrong button on my steering wheel, which was quite embarrassing, but we get out in still a fair amount of time, just over 3 seconds, 3.3 to be exact. So one thing that's interesting is every team, including myself, had so many pit issues in the first 2 races, and then they have been very rare since then, so I'm not quite sure what that's about. I don't know, maybe if the day 1 patch had changed some things. I could be wrong, I could be right, I'm really not sure. But nonetheless, Max Verstappen's going to come in now at the end of lap 14, and it looks like Leclerc will join him, several staying on the racetrack. How about Alex Albon holding his own well inside the points? I mean, if he keeps it up, he's going to be ahead of me in the points by the end of today's episode. Now Leclerc gets rolling now, and they'll all head back out on track here. So we're coming around, and look at this. We're going to get in front of the McLaren of Lando Norris, so it's showing just, you know, pitting a lap or so earlier makes a huge difference. So right in front of Norris, Bottas as well there, P17, so we'll take over the position and try to run away, but it's not going to happen because look at my battery. It's down to 15%. I can't use it, and now here comes the Lando Norris, absolutely going to dominate me here, but I see the opportunity again, slide in behind him and just hope he can pull me along with the DRS. That's kind of the goal, as I'm trying to save as much battery as I possibly can. It's all about battery saving here today. Albon pits now at the end of this lap. He'll slide in behind Sergio Perez in front of Zhou Guanyu. Albon is in the mix here in the top 5, top 6 area. As you can see, everyone exiting right now. It looks like he'll be P7, as no, he's going to be P5. He's going to get out right in front of the nose of Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champ, and Alonso just behind, as Albon currently maintains a 5th position. What a drive from our teammate, which is not making me look good, as I slide out just in front of Oscar Piastri. So McLaren, I mean, them pitting a lap later has really put them in a hole and against myself twice now, as we continue on. And here's actually Lewis Hamilton now going for an overtake on Alex Albon, and Alonso going for a 3-wide move up the inside. He lunges one up the inside of Albon. Now they continue 3-wide. Who's going to back out of it? Someone has to, and it's going to be maybe Alonso. Hold on, maybe, yes, it will be Alonso. Albon maintains P6. I honestly did not expect Fernando to back out of that of all people, but we continue to struggle. Great racing at some points throughout this event, but then there's myself, and now Piastri goes through. So we were in the points for a brief amount of time, but it didn't last long. So down to P11, and now we just are trying to focus in on holding back both of the Saubers for the remainder of this race. Bottas just there behind us now. Charles Leclerc actually to the back of his teammate of Carlos Sainz. Sainz on a 2-stop strategy, so of course he is going to have to pit one more time, so this is not much of a fight. Leclerc should be able to quite easily clear him. Actually, Sainz going to make it a little bit more difficult, but no, there goes Leclerc through. Now he'll take the second runner-up position. Verstappen nearly 9 seconds up the road. There was no contest there whatsoever now, as we continue on, actually bringing the fight back to Oscar Piastri with the DRS. He is DRS-less. He has got nothing, so that's allowing me to do exactly this. We clear him. We take the position back, but on the run towards turn 1, Sainz had just made his second stop, so we move into the top 10 again, and Piastri is fighting with us. He's right there on our right rear, not making it easy, slipping and sliding. He's still there at my right rear. here, not backing out of it. The Australian wants to move through into P9 and try to run away. There he goes. Around the outside, I slide again, and now we'll just settle in here between him and Valtteri Bottas. So now Piastri going to try and run away. Can we remain inside the DRS here as we close in on these final 10 laps now? Bottas has a run, but I'm going to try and just drain my battery as much as I'm able to, and here he comes up the inside. Look at the speed in that Sauber machine as we head down towards the end of the long DRS straight. We are going 3 wide to the outside. That was a total accident. I did not want to be in that, and Bottas goes through and gets a 2 for 1 as Joe joins the party as well. 10 laps to go, and we'll go through the grid here in Miami.
Max Verstappen is miles out in front right now over Charles Leclerc, 9 full seconds. And how about Alex Albon up in the 4th position?
Hell of a drive for him so far today. He took Owen running him off the road personally in Japan. He's been on top of Owen ever since. Hamilton right there with him and Alonso. I expect both of them to get through, but Alex can still earn a 6th place result here.
Ted Kravitz, I hear you have some news to share.
I sure do, guys. Trackhouse Racing's owner, Justin Marks, was in the paddock this weekend, and they spoke with multiple drivers. I managed to get my hands on a list of the names, which included Carlos Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda, Ocon, Gasly, and Gary Owen as well. Now here's where it gets interesting. Owen spoke out about proving what F1 drivers can do in other types of racing. Trackhouse is a team that prides themselves in showcasing that exact thing within their team. On the NASCAR side, I think there could be potential there.
Ted, what's their plan to actually get into F1, however?
So an 11th team entry sounds improbable right now. So they are seeking an option to buy out a current team. I would think Haas would be the obvious option, but anything can always happen.
All right, thanks, Ted. We'll wait and see. Speaking of Esteban Ocon, you see him there in 17th place. Not a great day as his teammate runs in 13th.
Terrible year so far for that team in general. I would not be shocked to see both drivers looking for a way out come the end of the season.
Silly season kicking off already, Martin. It gets earlier every year.
And there you have, through the grid, Daniel Ricciardo at the back of it, running in dead last in that V-carb machine as we continue on. P11 trying to hold off Zhou Guanyu, who's putting on some pressure. It's been an exceptional season from the Chinese driver so far, and I'm sure he's going to maintain his ride here on the F1 career mode side of things now, but we continue to watch this battle. Piastri, Bottas now going at it side by side. Piastri is just not showing the pace he needs to be showing, but he gets clear of Valtteri now as we went to show the nose, but obviously going side by side into the chicane outside of lap 1 or maybe the last lap is just really a sign of stupidity as you can see these two continuing to go at it. This was my view. I didn't quite have enough with the battery store and whatnot to be able to put a fight to these two, but I certainly had enough to maintain it and watch this fight. They just continue to go back and forth, and that's the biggest thing with this AI is they can't get away from each other. So they just have this back and forth, and they ruin their races literally all race long, and that's the major flaw I'm thinking right now with this AI here. Now, as Zhou Guanyu actually is going to lunge one up my inside here at the end of the long DRS straight. Now, we still run P11 nearly into the back of Bottas there, but if we can continue doing what we're doing and maybe save a little bit more battery, we might have a chance to do something on this final lap. The AI quite often will run out of battery on the final lap. A bit of a moment for Piastri. Now, up the inside as we continue with 4 laps to go in this United States Grand Prix, and we lunge one axle to axle here through turn number 1. We'll take it. We'll be back up into the points in P10, but we know Piastri's got that straight line speed on us today, so I don't expect this to last long. And again, I drained my battery down under 10%. As soon as you dip it below 10%, your speed drops off a mountain. So he was able to go back through, and I would just settle in watching these two again battle side by side. Now Bottas shuts the door on me on my nose. We slide. They're actually getting a warning for exceeding track limits now as we continue on. 2 laps to go, and Perez has run down Charles Leclerc, who's now 16 seconds behind Max Verstappen. He's going to go around the outside of Leclerc potentially here at the end of the DRS straight. As I'm recording this video, just now seeing Perez has signed a 2-year multi-year deal with Red Bull. How about that? Perez goes through into second place now, and it's going to be a Red Bull 1-2 if he can hold off Leclerc on this final lap. For us, it's all about just hoping Bottas and Piastri battle it out, because I don't have enough for them straight up on pace at this point with the battery store that I have left, which is very, very little. 1 lap to go in Miami. It's been a heck of a weekend from talking with Joseph Newgarden and accepting a challenge for the Indy 500, and then as well Justin Marks from Trackhouse Racing having a conversation with us. A lot has happened this weekend in what's been a relatively disappointing weekend for myself. Now, Alex Albon, the total opposite for him. Max Verstappen, though, rounding the final turn, he'll head down this front straightaway. Another win for Verstappen as he continues to close in on win number 60.
I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone here at the track, back at the factory.
A humble radio message from the dominant Max Verstappen. Now Perez will hold off Leclerc. It will be second for Perez. Red Bull 1-2. The sprint winner Leclerc will have to settle for third place. Alonso fourth, Hamilton fifth, and Albon up there in the P6 battle now. But for us, it wasn't enough. P11, honestly, a improvement from what we saw all weekend long, but obviously not enough, while our teammate of Alex Albon is well up inside the points. A disappointing day here in Miami. Sorry guys, I didn't have it all weekend. I don't know what else I could have done, to be honest with you. It was just, yeah, one of those weekends.
You'll come back stronger next week, Gary. Focus in, a long way to go here.
Thank you, James. We can do better. I know that. Let's show it.
They've done it then. A truly magnificent win here at the Miami International Autodrome.
Red Bull celebrate a 1-2 result here from Miami. A heck of a race for them. Of course, Verstappen on that top step of the podium there. You see Leclerc. They will be back to their familiar red colors starting in Imola. So don't get used to those blue colors. Just kind of following some things you see in real life until we pass the point of IRL, which is only 2 more rounds, I think, obviously, with Imola, as well as the Monaco Grand Prix. But for us, I mean, we gotta figure out some stuff. We struggled now 2 episodes in a row. It's been an interesting rookie season so far, from the struggles in Bahrain to the points result in Jeddah to the extremely impressive result in Melbourne, and then of course to follow that we've had these struggles. So yeah, I mean, we're a rookie, we're going to learn, we're going to grow, we're going to develop, and hopefully we can continue to do that here in the coming rounds, and as well having a home race to look forward to coming up soon in Canada. But of course we got to get through Imola and the all-challenging Monaco Grand Prix on the way soon to follow as well. How about Alex Albon though? P6, a heck of a drive from him. Valtteri Bottas gets the final point as McLaren end up 8th and 9th. Definitely expect more speed out of them. Stroll ends up P15 after the whole pit cycle just didn't quite work in his favor. Sainz, of course, with a rough day after the 2-stop strategy. Albon overtakes us in points. He has 11 to my 8 points. Verstappen, of course, at the top of the board quite comfortably by 23 points over Leclerc, and the constructors Red Bull back on top by 19 points. I'll see you guys in the next episode for Imola. Thank you for watching and have a great day.